Hey Simmers, it's the Blooming Sim. Welcome back to my channel and thanks for joining me for another one of our bi-weekly shell challenges. Last week you guys voted out of 4 options on Twitter. The options were American Foursquare, Contemporary Mansion, Row Home, and Dutch Colonial, and as you can see, Dutch Colonial was the winner. It won by 41%. I actually built this shell a few times before I was happy with it. I like to practice first off camera, especially with shells like this, because I'm not very comfortable with roofing. I think it's really complicated. So this one needed a lot of practice before I felt comfortable filming it. And the first one I filmed didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. I don't know, I recorded it yesterday, and when I went to do the voiceover today, I just realized that I didn't like the build at all, so I scrapped it and I recorded it, and I'm pretty happy with this result. Dutch Colonial Revival is actually a subtype of Colonial Revival architecture. These homes were really popular in the early 1900s. It shares many similarities to the Colonial, but it has a few distinct characteristics. They're typically 1.5 to 2 stories, usually clapboard or shingle siding. They occasionally have brick or a stone facade though. They're typically symmetrical, although some have little pop-outs on the side with entrances, but they're typically pretty symmetrical and box-like. The shed and hipped roof, which is what you see me working on right now, and they also have gabled dormers. Columns on the porches and the entryway of the house, and we'll get to that a little bit later. I don't think I do those until the end. And 8/8 windows. 8/8 windows means you have a window that opens and there are 8 panes in the square that is upwards and 8 panes in the square that is downwards. So in total you have 16 different panes on the windows. You'll see that's what I used for the windows in this build to make it authentic. You guys know that I like to talk about the history of the different architecture style in addition to its features. Instead of summarizing facts I found on the internet, I would like to give a quote from the 1928 Home Builders Catalog about Dutch Colonial Revival architecture. Here we go. While the term Dutch Colonial conveys a definite type of house to almost everyone, the name itself is misleading. Dutch does not refer to Holland, and Colonial has no direct relationship with colonial architecture. This type of home takes its name from the Dutch colonists who settled in the lower parts of New York and New Jersey. They lived for many years in warm and cheery comfort. The Dutch colonial house conveys to us this rich domesticity and love of good living. The most characteristic feature of the Dutch colonial style is the gambrel roof, so much so, in fact, that gambrel and Dutch have become synonymous. The legend goes that this low, sweeping roof with its dormer windows was the ingenious means by which the Dutch colonists evaded the heavy tax on 2-story houses. And there is today a practical advantage over the 2-story house in saving of materials without the loss of space. The extraordinary flexibility of the style makes it possible for one to arrange the interior to suit his or her taste and still be assured of a harmonious exterior. 1 wing or 2 can be added without disturbing the gentle contour. One can compare this flexibility to colonial types where there is a harmony without freedom, and to English types where there is freedom without definite symmetry. If a man decides to build a Dutch colonial home, he should keep some things consistent in mind. First, the best types are long and low and set to close to the ground. Secondly, the dormer window should be considerably narrower than the first story window. Lastly, it can be equally well executed in shingles, siding, and brick, but is not advisable to mix them up. The narrow, high-top, heavy kind is to be avoided if one is to be a true precedent. Above all, let it ramble, for the Dutch colonial home is nothing if not picturesque. I'm going to stop rambling now, and I'll check in with you guys towards the end of the video to explain the rules of this shell challenge. The rules of this shell challenge are not to modify the exterior walls, all packs allowed but no custom content, add landscaping and terrain paint. The YouTube house tour deadline is August 21st, and use hashtags thebloomingsim and Dutch Colonial shell on the gallery. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm looking forward to see how you transform the Dutch Colonial shell into your own. Later this week I will be posting a house tour of your submissions to the shipping container shell challenge. I'm pretty excited to show those off. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and subscribe to my channel if you like my content and want to see and vote on things like shell challenge themes. Happy simming, and I'll see you next time.